Coming up on National Focus, Ministry of Education launches multiplication tables audio CD and work advances steadily on the Cabarets Resort and Spa. Hello, I'm Jarna Hector. Welcome to National Focus.
And I'm Fontaine. Thanks for joining us.
Topping the headlines, primary healthcare practitioners undergo diabetic foot training.
And Housing Minister sets the record straight about the terms and conditions of the housing revolution. All these stories and more when National Focus returns.
Our lead story this news time, construction is progressing satisfactorily on the Moroccan-funded Cabarets Resort and Spa in Lago, Portsmouth. Parliamentary representative for that constituency, Honorable Ian Douglas, took time to speak with GIS News on the construction site to update the nation on the status of works on the 70-room hotel.
It's coming on quite nicely. We have 3 of the major buildings which has the rooms in them nearing structural completion. That is to say, all of the block work, the floors are up, the 2 floors are up, the beams for the roof are being constructed on the first one, the 1, 2, or back here we have the decking so that the second floor block work can start. Also we have the 3rd building, which is basically the major operations building, which will have all the kitchens, the restaurant, the conference center facilities and all those things. So basically we're moving on quite nicely, steady progress on the project, and we're quite happy with the pace of work so far.
Honorable Douglas underscored the number of jobs that will be available when the hotel opens as expected in early 2014.
That means a lot of employment. That means a lot of generation of a lot of jobs. We hope that all of the labor that is required for the running of the hotel, from the backroom operations to the chefs, the receptionists, and every personnel needed for the hotel can be sourced from the entire north of Dominica.
The minister also noted that persons have already indicated their interest in managing the hotel, and staff will undergo training early enough to ensure a smooth launch of the Cabarets Resort and Spa.
We're trying to put all those little issues in place, so by the time that we actually finish construction and we are nearing the opening of the hotel, we can have a smooth transition from construction to operation of the hotel.
When you go in the stadium and the if you want to check this score, that's the way to do it. 6 times 1 is 6 times 2 is 6 times 3 is 6 times 4 is 6 times 5 is 6 times 6 is 6 times 7 is 6 times 8 is 6 times 9 is. It's just mathematics and we play cricket.
An innovative compact disc CD to raise students' enthusiasm in the subject area of mathematics through music is the latest initiative of the Ministry of Education. Mastering Tables Through Music was designed to address the acute challenges that students are faced with in the subject of maths. It also serves as a resource material for teachers to enhance the environment in which the students are being taught. Clement Vital, numeracy specialist in the Ministry of Education, who is also the executive producer of this CD, stated that the multiplication CD is another tool which teachers and parents can use to reinforce learning.
This multiplication table CD represents yet another tangible indicator of the effort of the Ministry of Education to address the acute challenges to the respect of mathematics performance at our primary schools. As a ministry, we have recognized that our challenge is not only of limited performance by our students in the area of mathematics. We are also challenged by the apparent limited availability of resource materials to enhance the teaching and learning of mathematics. The launching of this CD today will hopefully raise the enthusiasm of our students in the learning of the tables, particularly the students who are musically inclined.
According to the numeracy specialist, the multiplication CD is not a teaching tool. Rather, it was designed to engage the students and reinforce the learning of the concepts of multiplication tables.
It should be used to reinforce the learning of the tables. Teachers must teach the students the concept of multiplication first before using the CD.
The CD is targeted at students in grades 2, 3, and 4 and comprises of multiplication tables 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 with the multipliers 1 to 10. It also covers a multitude of musical beats that students like, including the rhythmic bouillon beat.
The arrangement of the CD challenges the students at 3 levels of difficulty. Level 1, the table is sung completely twice for the first time. Second level, the multipliers are given, then the students are allowed to give the product. Third level, that each table is shuffled and students are allowed to give the product of the multipliers. The CD can be used to introduce math lessons. It can be used for class and grade competitions, during assemblies, to settle students down, particularly in the afternoon sessions. And it can be played in homes, in your cars, to engage children meaningfully.
Vital is hopeful that the CD will raise the enthusiasm of students. He expressed his gratitude to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, for assisting the Ministry of Education with funding of the CDs. Meanwhile, Secretary General of UNESCO, Sonia Williams, a former teacher and principal, noted the pertinence of the CD as it ties into one of UNESCO's Millennium Development Goals, which is education for all with emphasis on quality education.
It is very timely because we are all aware of the challenges that our students face in the learning of mathematics. And our teachers also have the challenges to teach our children a subject which is so very, very important and relevant to education, but poses many difficulties if we are not well equipped. Recently, we heard of the results of the CXC in mathematics, and we mourned those results. I hope that this CD will serve as a vital tool to capture the students' interest and to make the learning of the multiplication tables an enjoyable experience, because the multiplication timetables are a prerequisite to doing maths well.
Williams also urged the principals and teachers to make the best use of the CD.
Please do not make it another piece of documentary evidence to adorn our shelves or to be stored in a cupboard where we have to go to look for it if the need becomes necessary. Or sometimes we lose it and we do not know where to find it.
Meantime, Education Minister Honorable Peter Sejean endorsed the CD and commended the team for the initiative.
And I want to announce to us today that this is the beginning of a new beginning for us in the Ministry of Education. It symbolizes a time when we must take drastic action to correct the ills and the wrongs of the past. It symbolizes a period when we must recommit ourselves at ensuring that every Dominican child truly succeeds.
He also encouraged parents to purchase a copy as it can assist students.
I think that this was a brilliant idea. That is an attempt to make the learning of mathematics much more fun. Too often we hear children saying, I hate maths. I don't like maths. Let's make the learning of mathematics fun. Because with the trend that we have of poor performance among our children in mathematics at our external exams, it is absolutely necessary that we get as creative and innovative as we can to ensure that these children develop a love for mathematics.
A copy of the CD was presented by the numeracy specialist to UNESCO's Secretary General, Sonia Williams, and the Minister for Education, Honorable Peter St. Jean. The CD is copyrighted and can only be purchased from the Ministry of Education. Each school will receive a copy and members of the public are encouraged to purchase a copy. However, a price has not yet been confirmed. The musical versions of the multiplication tables were composed by and directed by Ian Jackson. Peter Later provided the keyboard arrangement, as well as engineer Julie Mate played the guitar. Vocals on the CD are the 2012 Junior Calypso Monarch, Janae Jackson, Nichelle Walsh, who was the 2012 Junior Calypso Monarch's first runner-up, Fael Lander, the 2012 Junior Calypso Monarch second runner-up, Stanish George, and Jody Johnson. Jarna, I think this CD is such a great idea, and I really like that they incorporated the Junior Monarchs and our school children, you know, into this CD.
Well, I'm looking at this CD and I'm thinking, why wasn't there a CD for me when I was trying to learn math? Because I was horrible at math. But this idea is a unique one. I mean, it's not something that you've heard of before. It's not something that you've seen before. It's very original. It's fresh, and I think it could really benefit students.
Right, and as we saw earlier today, you know, the beats. I mean, I was already dancing, you know, and it's something that I would buy for my children and ride around in the car and play, because it's really catchy and the beats are rhythmic. So, I mean, it can be used for carnival. I mean, come on. But this shows that education continues to be a top priority for the government and the Ministry of Education.
So much so that the Ministry of Education received 16% of all the budgetary allocations for this financial year. So that just shows how important education is to this government.
That's right. And not only that, last year, which was very impressive to me, our very own Jeffrey Blaise, I think he's the Assistant Chief Education Officer. He created a revision guide that would assist students, you know, along the way in mathematics. And it's not just for Dominica, it was for the entire OECS.
And it's not just numeracy that the government, the Ministry of Education, is interested in. They are taking a holistic approach to education. Look at the CVQ technical programs.
Right. So that should be implemented soon, I think, in several schools across the island. And so, you know, government continues to do what they need to do to get our students to where they need to be. And this CD, I'm telling you, I hope everyone decides to go out there and get it. If you love music as much as we do, or I do, purchase the CD.
And in more news, Housing Minister Honorable Reginald Austrie has declared that beneficiaries of this government's housing revolution ought to be aware that in some cases, the properties remain assets of the state. Honorable Austrie spoke with GIS News on site of a housing project in Portsmouth last week. The minister said that when government secures land to construct a home for any Dominican through the Housing Improvement Trust, the land and house belongs to the state. Therefore, it cannot be sold or willed to someone else.
Well, the land belongs to the state. The house has been built by the state. So, in fact, it is state property. But so the state property being handed over to these people under certain terms and conditions. If and when they can afford to pay for it at a price agreed to by the government, then they will have that right. Until they do so, the property it remains the property of the state.
The housing minister further stated that although government owns the property, residents will not be barred access to their homes.
But the state will ensure that every mechanism is put in place to ensure that these people can have free and fair access to their homes for whatever period of time that the government determines.
Parliamentary representative for the Portsmouth constituency, Honorable Ian Douglas, says in some cases, like the 10 recently constructed petrol castles in Portsmouth, the inhabitants will be required to make affordable contributions to offset the expenses covered by government.
Of course, there is expenses associated with the project in terms of the preparation of the land, the implementation of the infrastructure, the roads, the water, the lights, and actually the labor to construct the houses. So it is expected that the potential occupants of the houses would be expected to contribute some kind of financial contribution, however minimal it might be, because we don't want it to be too onerous because of the demographic target, because of the persons that we are targeting. Single mothers already under pressure, having to provide for 3-4 infant children, that sort of thing. So we're trying to make it as minimal as possible so that the families that we intend to occupy those houses can afford. But of course, there will certainly be a cost to those houses for them.
And finally, this news time, a group of doctors and nurses from primary healthcare institutions, including the Princess Margaret Hospital, on Monday were involved in an advanced training program on the care of the diabetic foot. The 2-day training session organized by the Ministry of Health is a follow-up to a training which was held last October. Health educator Adora Tuse told GIS News that this week's training will expose participants to a number of elements as it relates to the diagnosis and care of the diabetic foot.
This is the second leg of our step-by-step diabetic foot care, and this time we'll take it a little further, where persons from the Ministry of Health are invited to this program, where they'll be looking at how to do debridement and how to assess a diabetic foot and how to be able to treat a diabetic foot. When we talk about diabetic foot, it refers to ulcers, all right? So you see a person may be suffering from diabetes, but when we talk about a diabetic foot, that is to say something is wrong with the foot. There is some infection in that foot, an ulcer has formed in that foot, and that is the training that our participants are getting this morning, how to care for a person who comes in with a diabetic ulcer.
Director of Primary Healthcare Services in Dominica, Dr. Martin Christmas, says this training will better aid health practitioners in assisting diabetic patients to prevent leg amputations.
What we are observing here today is the second phase of the diabetic step-by-step foot care training program, which is actually the advanced course of the program, which started in October last year. We conducted the first workshop here with a core of doctors, nurses, persons from the private hospital as well, and other interested persons, which would really be able to prepare these people for better diagnosing, managing, treating, and also preventing complications of the diabetic foot. We would all appreciate that in Dominica, we see a number of persons suffering from amputation, sometimes very young persons who otherwise would be at the productive stage of their lives and be able to contribute meaningfully to society as well as to their families, where many of those are the sole breadwinners. And this is why the Ministry of Health has taken this very huge step to complement our diabetic foot care policy with appropriate training of persons to make sure that we don't have such a large incidence of amputations due to diabetic foot complications.
The training program is being done in collaboration with the Rotary Club of Dominica, the Dominica Diabetes Association, and the World Diabetes Foundation. And that's the English segments of the news. We now join Marcus in St. Louis for the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est Macpherson Saint-Louis. Premièrement, ministre de l'Éducation complémentaire éducation pour les enfants l'année académique salam. Parole cela sorti au ministère de l'Éducation, honorable Peter Saint-Jean, qu'on l'année académique ouverte.
L'année salam, nous que aller ça nous créé national là tous les enfants en Dominique qui trouvé koyo à dans un preschool. Moi encore, il a fait nous plaisir au ministre de l'Éducation pour annoncer que le 10 septembre, que preschool ti l'école qui est ouvert. Et ça nous ni actuellement, nous ni yon de l'école, nous avons ouvert l'école neuf, ti l'école neuf. Ça nous fait, nous avons en certains villages qui pas ni c'est l'école ça yo, nous avons ouvert en classe à dans l'école là. Ça c'est primary school. Et aussi là nous ni preschool, nous avons augmenté ces preschool ça yo. Nous avons fait ces bancs, ces chaises là et en yon des places nous avons style bâti place là qui nous a servi community building, nous a servi l'école primaire en différentes places, mais nous avons des petits challenges, nous avons des villages là nous pas encore vraiment fini, mais nous avons public là assurance là qui content qu'à passer l'année ça là, nous qui finissons ce travail ça là avec tous les enfants en partie de 3 ans pour 5 années que trouver quoi yo dans l'école là yo ça expériencer ça nous a créé holistic education, ça c'est éducation qui a essayé de développer les enfants tout en Dominique.
À notre nouvelle réhabilitation Chimé Wharton Wave nous cap en place à présent. Parole cela sorti au membre parlement honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre. Si l'on honorable McIntyre, d'autres chimé katapé attention.
Moun à Wharton Wave actuellement nous regarder côté chimé yo tout. Chimé ça nous regarder côté manger ça qui côté am coptol là fait un boti bail là avec pour monter côté coptol et pour manger chimé ça pour moun Wharton Wave because Wharton Wave c'est une place qui est en low bitter même business là nous parler côté là comme si c'est bail c'est gros show à moun qui venir pour ça tout le monde la tête qui venir pour ça avec nous les faire chimé ça primaire à Rose Valley actuellement nous ni chimé loda qui bien OK nous ni chimé Trafalgar qui OK so monde prospère manger nous manger avec nous garder ça nous fait à Wharton Wave avec pour nous garder Cochrane tout because Cochrane c'est une place qui a low potential aussi so actuellement mon bien content because as un monde qui a représenté ces monde là à Rose Valley il primaire là on est chimé qui plus neuf comme si des chimé qui ont l'autre tout monde tout toi qui pas aimer ça so mon tout à place bien confident comme si nous ca aider ces monde là avec gouvernement ça c'est Dominica parti nous bien sérieux pour aider tout le monde Dominique mon ca parler côte constituent Rose Valley en mon côté pour ça
gouvernement Dominique a continué et programme révolution Kai en il faut cela 10 familles en ville Hortense qui bénéficient et puis Kai en bas programme cela ministre Kai honorable Reginald Austrin visiter l'occasion où la c'est Kai cela qu'a bâti si l'homme ministre Austrin gouvernement a continué et puis et fouille programme là ça fait où là il a déjà dépensé plus que $50 millions l'argent nous en bas programme cela honorable Austrin aussi mentionné 10 Kai Petrocasa qui gouvernement a aussi potué bas moun ville Hortense gouvernement Dominique a mis autant attention à ces Kai bagay yote promet depuis dernière élection. Et puis finalement, le ministre de la Santé Dominique a collaboré avec Rotary Club et Association Diabetes pendant un workshop qui a mis attention à ce diabetic foot. Ça, c'est pour traitement pied. Plaisir officier médical qui a participé à un workshop déjà là, qui a pris place en Public Service Training Center en Wozo. Dr. Philippe Saint-Jean, c'est docteur Wawozo.
Un workshop à ce comment pour traiter vieux pieds diabétiques. Vous savez, connaître diabétique, monde qui est diabétique, qui a toujours ni pied qui ni bobo, pied qui a engourdi, pied yo pas ça senti bien comme ça. Workshop là, c'est principalement pour dire ces diabétiques là yo qui nous là pour aider yo pour disséminer toute information. Comment pour traiter diabetic foot?
Qui a participé au workshop aujourd'hui?
Ah ben on le monde, c'est nurse, c'est docteur, Road District Ozo avec l'hôpital là aussi.
Ça que situation là, qu'a concerné diabetic foot?
Ah ben ça mauvais ou ça mauvais. OK, je vais le monde qui est diabétique. Pas qu'il problème bobo en pied mais il y a en proportion diabétique. Yo ka présenté avec ti bobo avec ti calos ti problème qui yo pas ça senti en PA comme ça il y a mon cas dit il y a une belle proportion monde qui ni diabétique vous savez qui ni problème pied yo hein
mais c'est monde ça là qui a souffert de maladie ça là qui me doit quoi courir c'est monde ça là pour faire
ah ben nous ka courir yo à sous pour ça vous savez information c'est bon hein commencer avec ça ka courir patient education. Pour éducation là, pour information nous cabayo dans le district là, dans l'hôpital là, avec courrier puis information comment yo ça traiter pied yo, comment yo ça empêcher
toute qualité de complications bobo avec vous savez bagay comme ça qui ça arrivé puis parce que c'est diabétique.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est Macpherson Los. Au revoir.
Up next is the tip of the day. Today's tip is about starting your day off right, and here's how you can start your day. Start your day by envisioning success.
Envision the goals that you want to accomplish for that day, empowering yourself to be successful.
Start by getting into the habit of thinking you are already achieving success. And by doing this, you'll be in a winner's mindset rather than starting your day off with a negative spin.
And just because you woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning doesn't mean you can't turn it around by envisioning the rest of your day as a successful one. And that's National Focus. As usual, we invite your suggestions or comments.
Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm.
Or you could visit our GIS Dominica page on both YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Jarna Hector.
And I'm Fontaine. Thanks for watching.
Let your spirit take to flight. Let your heart run free and wild. Find your soul in Dominica, the nature isle.
There's a point I want to share with you. They say there's nothing you can do about an earthquake. It's sudden. But there's something we can do. Having our family planning meeting in advance, just in case, to protect the children and the family.
Nous pas parler condom, coil et tablet. So any monkey may kui, but when you're running, you must know where you're running to. Okay?
See me on Tremblant chair, an earthquake. You, your family, and your children, and everybody at home must know exactly what to do, where to go, where to run. And the other thing is that you must know your surroundings. Because in your you can trip and fall and get hurt. Another secure place to go is under a table. Don't go under a glass table or a window or a door. It will break and shikaye and cut you. Go under a strong table. You want to see how you come in? Or you get it? But it's not just to drop, cover and hold, and then you have your head in your leg and you cover your head and you cover your eyes and Felix, tell them.
And yes, drop, cover and hold. But only pusav kumankai labati know your surroundings, where it is safe in the house.
And one thing to remember, if an earthquake happens, you must find a secure place, and your bathroom is a secure place, a sure place, because the smaller the place, the more secure you are. So remember that.
And under a potager, the dresser is a very good place to hide.
I agree.
The closet, where you have all those old jackets and those kiang, all the shoes, is a very good place, it's a safe place. The closet.
That's a good idea.
And the bookshelf, n'importe place comme ça qui s'est tombé à sous, stay away.
A message from the Office of Disaster Management in Dominica.